Well, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Leadership Edge. I'm your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder. Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership Edge. I know that in this virtual space that we're in with podcasters and all that, it's a smorgasbord of just podcasts and shows like this out there, and a lot of good ones, and you have a awesome choice to choose from. And the fact that you choose to tune into the Leadership Edge, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. This podcast is dedicated to leadership, all things leadership. We talk about leadership. And we continue to talk about leadership. Our goal is to give you the nuggets and the edge you need. That's why it's called the Leadership Edge, to give you that edge you need to be a more effective leader and to do better in your situation as a leader, okay? So thank you for tuning in. Now, listen, before we get into our talk tonight, don't forget, you're watching me on BGTV Studios Facebook page. Go ahead and hit the like and the share button. And on YouTube, we want you to subscribe. And there are reasons for this. Number one, to like us. That means you follow us. That means you get, when podcasters come on, you'll get notifications. Sharing helps us to spread far and wide, because I know people, I got reach that you don't have, and you got reach I don't have. And if we all share, the web of the BGTV Studios platform goes far and wide. So we want to blanket the land. So go ahead and hit the share button. Subscribe on YouTube to our YouTube channel, BGTV Studios YouTube. And we want to get those subscriber numbers up. And also, when you subscribe, man, you get access to all of the podcasters that's on this platform, the videos of them. There are a lot of great platforms. I remember when BGTV Studios birthed, and I was on the ground floor. I started in February of 24. There were only four of us, four shows, four podcasters. Amen. Now they're upwards of 30, 40, and others waiting in the wings. And there's some great podcasters, both men and women, with great messages and great stories, testimonies that will help you and bless you. So I want to admonish you to listen to BGTV Studios platform, okay? Well, all right, another Tuesday, another week. Things are great. Let's talk leadership. Let's pick up where we left off at last week, talking about the challenges of leadership. The challenges of leadership. Again, I wish that I could tell you it was all hokodori and roses and sunshine, but that's just not reality. You don't want me to lie to you. The truth is, leadership is great. I love it. It's an awesome thing. I love nothing more than leading, okay? But I understand that with that leading, there's a burden and there are challenges, and we have to deal with those. There's no way to be exempt from them. There's no way to bypass them. It's just part of the process, okay? So we were talking about people and the fact that we have to disengage sometimes, and that we disengage from anything that gets in the way. And sometimes that disengagement is painful because we have to disengage from people we've been around. We brought to a certain point, but we can't take them any further. And so we have to kind of sometimes disengage. There are people that have been with me on at certain points in my journey that's not with me now. When I say not with me, we haven't fallen out. We aren't enemies. It's just that we're just not as close as we used to be. Because there's an old saying here, I guarantee you, if you keep growing and the people around you stop growing, you're going to grow apart. Either we grow together or we grow apart. And that's what happens sometimes. You still growing and the people with you stop growing. And so as a result, y'all kind of grow apart. Don't mean you fell out. Don't mean you dislike each other. Again, there are people I've grown apart from. I see them. We still speak. We'll have conversation, this, that, and the other. We bump into each other at conferences or church services or different things. And, but things just ain't like they used to be. And sometimes it's because, again, we went different directions. I grew in a certain area they didn't want to grow that way in, or they grew somewhere I didn't want to go. And so it's disengagement is a part of leadership. Now, we talked about last week that people are a leader's greatest asset, okay? And so you can't lead without having to deal with people. People is part of that process, because what makes us a leader, we leading people. We leading somebody. You can't be a leader and nobody's following you, okay? Now, But there's certain type of people you're going to have to deal with in leadership as you lead. There's certain people you're going to have to deal with. Let's talk about a couple of type people you'll have to deal with. Positive and negative people. You're going to have to deal with people who are positive. You're going to deal with people who are negative. Okay? Agreement is not always positive, and disagreement is always negative. People can disagree with you and still add value. Because as a leader, when I sit with my leaders and we talk about certain things, I want the various viewpoints in that room because we all see things differently. So I want that we do this, and sometimes there's disagreement. Now, we can disagree on the issue, but we don't disagree in our heart about the vision and about where we're going and about our relationship. Those are non-negotiable. They're not up for disagreement. Okay? But you're going to deal with negative and positive people. Okay? Now, negative is not necessarily disagree. I disagree with this. But when I say negative people, I'm talking about people that's always negative. They find the bad in everything. Okay? The bad in everything. They just, remember Charlie Brown? Some of you young people may not remember Charlie Brown's a cartoon, goes back into the 70s, and they may still be out there. They call it Peanuts, I guess. And Charlie Brown, he got this sister and all this here. But anyway, there's this one guy on Charlie Brown. I think his name is Linus. And where he goes, he has this cloud that goes over him. Remember this cloud, this dark cloud? It goes over him. And that's how some people are from a negative standpoint. Negativity just overrides them like a cloud. They can't see positive. I've heard people I'm telling you stuff I've witnessed. Here's somebody gets a new car. Rather than them celebrate, man, they got a great car. Wonder can they keep the payments? That's a negative statement. What are they gonna do when they have to have car repairs? It's a negative statement. Or somebody gets a new house. Ain't gonna be able to keep it up, 2 weeks, always negative. Those people cannot benefit you in leadership. They cannot. Because their negativity makes their vision small. Okay? Their negativity was small. You have to determine, if you can help them become positive. So when I say negative people you're going to encounter, I'm not talking about people people that disagree with you on an issue that you ask for agreement or disagreement. I'm talking about people who are just negative. Everything that you say you feel like we want to do well, they're going to find the problems with it, why it can't be done. Those are the type of people you need to disengage with. That ain't just leadership, that's a life issue. In life, none of us like to be around people who are always negative Nancy, as they would say. Negative Nancy. Always negative. Always see the glass as half empty, although it's half full, too. But everything in life is half, it's negative. They're going to find the negativity. You're going to encounter those kind of people. And if you find those people in your leadership, you got to either convert them or you got to disengage them. You got to release them. Okay? Another type of person you will encounter is people you've outgrown. People you've outgrown. In other words, you've grown up here, they are still there. I see it all the time. I meet people that I've met along the stages, and I'll see them years later, and guess what? They still at the same place. And I've gone. It's kind of like I remember. I'll use ministry for example. I'm a pastor. I love preaching. I love studying preaching. I love preachers. And I can think of styles and mannerisms of preaching that I used to love and just get joy out of. And I go back and look at it now and listen to it now, and it's like it's totally different. I don't have the same feeling today that I had then. Why? It's nothing wrong with the preaching. It's the same preaching I loved then, but the difference is I've grown now. And so what excited me at one level don't excite me today because I've outgrown it. You know. Again, so people sometimes you outgrow them. You move into different places and they want to stay in the place where you used to be. Yeah, if I use a biblical example, when the children of Israel had went left Egypt, went into the wilderness, and they went to Mount Horeb. And at Mount Horeb, God spoke, the Bible says, and out of his mouth came fire and thunder and smoke. And the children of Israel say, this is where God is, here at Mount Horeb. And so they set up camp at Mount Horeb. Now they totally forgot about the promised land, which wasn't but a few miles away. But because they saw God speak at Mount Horeb, they stopped journeying and set up camp on Mount Horeb and stayed there and would have stayed there. But in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 7, the Bible said that the Lord came down and said, you have dwelt in this mount long enough. Now rise up and go. So he's telling them, y'all done dwelt here long enough. This is where I used to be. I'm not here no more. I'm heading to the promised land. Y'all here. And so many times we find people that's still dwelling where the blessing used to be. They dwelling where we used to be, but we moved on. And so sometimes you outgrow people. I've had friends who we were friends at one stage. And I grew in some ages, and I see them later, and they were still and it just ain't the same because you've outgrown them. And it don't mean you better than them. It doesn't mean that you're more than them or you think yourself more highly. It just simply means, again, that we are on two different plateaus. And so the things that you want to do, things that move you, excite you, I'm not there no more. I've been there and I've gone on. I'm somewhere else now. So you've outgrown. I give you a perfect example. One thing I love is I love steak. Okay, I love a good steak, right? And I remember the time I would go to places like Logan's and places like that, get a steak, go to, places. And it was okay. It was the best thing I had that time because that's where my money was, But I've been exposed to steaks at a different level at restaurants where chefs cook the steak. And at those restaurants, I remember the first time I went to a high-end restaurant. It was a place called McKendrick's in Atlanta, one of the best steakhouses around. Matter of fact, if you ever go on that, used to be when you go on the airplane, they had a little magazine, they had the best steakhouse. McKendrick's always was number one. I remember the first time I went there. So years ago, this is probably 20 years ago, maybe 25. And so I came around to get a steak. I ordered a steak. And I asked the guy what kind of steak sauce they have. He said, we don't have steak sauce at this restaurant. Well, I'm used to going to restaurants like, again, Logan's and these little places, these steakhouses, Bonanza at that time, all these places, and they have steak sauce. He said, we don't have steak sauce. He said, our chef prepares our steak so great that there's no need for steak sauce. He said, matter of fact, the chef would be offended if you ask him for steak sauce. Well, at that point, I had to elevate my thinking because I had never been at that level. And I said, okay, this is a different place. This is a different level. Besides, that steak didn't cost $25. Okay, that steak was $95. Okay, now, and when I bit into that steak, I saw why you didn't need no. You didn't. It's a whole different level. Okay. Now, I've been back to McKendrick several times since, and I've gone to other high-end restaurants, had steaks at Ruth Chris. I'm making a point, not boasting and bragging, just making a point. Ruth Chris, Morton's of Chicago, Fleming's, places like this, Perry's. And the stakes at that level is a different ball game. So much so that I can't go to those other places to eat steak no more. I can't do it. I won't even do it. If I go there, I get something else. If I'm with somebody, they want to go to that restaurant, I'll go, but I won't buy a steak. And people ask me, no, I can't. Because why? I've outgrown that. I need it. And so that's what happens. You outgrow things. And so what used to appeal to you don't appeal. And so people sometimes you outgrow them. It's not a bad thing. It's just a course of life as a leader. And that's why you got to keep people around you growing. That's why you got to challenge your team to keep growing. Because if you're growing and your team don't grow, guess what? You're going to outgrow them, and there's going to be a rift. There's going to be a chasm between you. And you don't need that, not in the ministry. You have to stay connected. Man, my time is moving fast, okay? So, but these are the kind of people you're going to encounter. You're going to encounter people that can give you new perspective. And that's what you want, especially as you grow. You want people to give you new perspective, who can show you things that you normally don't see. These kind of people you want on your team, you want around you. You know, show me something I can't see. Give me a perspective that I haven't looked at or haven't seen. That's why, again, as a leader, you want the sharpest minds around you. You know, as a leader, you can't be insecure. And so when God gives you people around you who are sharp and bright and just got it going on, they're educated, you can't get intimidated because you may not be the smartest person in the room. But you want perspective. Here's how I function as a leader in my church and in ministry. I'm the pastor. I got the vision. Okay? So I don't need a discourse on where we're going. I don't even need the team to tell me where we're going. Because vision is all about where we're going. Okay? So I don't need their help in where I'm going. That's my job. I can tell us, here's the vision, here's where we're going. Now, how we gonna get where we're going is an issue of strategy. I may not have the best strategic idea or the best strategic plan or the best strategic mind. That's why I want sharp people in the room. I'll tell y'all what we gonna do, where we gonna go. You tell me how we gonna do it. That's your job. Okay? So I want them sharp minds in there. Because I might think we need to do it this way. Say, no, here's a better way. I'm trained in this area. So you want people around you who can give you perspective. Too many times I see leaders, especially pastors. I'm sure it happens in other businesses too, but I'm in ministry. I see this more. Pastors, you know, they always got to be the smartest person in the room. So they're going to tell us what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and what the move going to be. And you stymie the people who are there with better ideas and better perspective. You want people to give you better perspective. There's nothing wrong with that, especially as long as they got your spirit in your heart. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about somebody in the room to sabotage. I'm talking about somebody that genuinely loves you, have your heart, have your spirit. But they're trying to show you a better way to do what you're trying to do. Because that's what they're skilled at. That's what they're skilled at. You know, several years ago, our church burned down. We were located in the Eastwood area, 1545 Cooper Hill Road. And we had a devastating fire that burned our church down, and we lost everything. When that fire was over, we didn't have a staple gun left. Nothing. All my notes, all my Bibles, everything. Totally lost. And so we had to file an insurance claim. Insurance claim well over $1 million for this insurance claim. Now, we paid the premium every month, made sure it was. I didn't know nothing about no insurance claim. I didn't know how to deal with no insurance company. Here's what I thought. I thought you pay insurance, you file a claim, you got X amount of, let's just say $100,000. You got $100,000 of insurance coverage on your house or whatever it is, and you have a claim, you file a claim, and they just write you a check for $100,000. That ain't how it works. They take you through the ringer. And when they take you through the ringer, they're going to depreciate everything. You got to give them you got to put a value on everything. It's a long process. I didn't know this. But I have someone in my church who works for a national insurance company. I won't call it a name, but they work for a national insurance company and at a high level in management. What did I do? The first thing I did was call them in the room and say, talk to me, because you and the insurance, although it wasn't the company we was dealing with, but they basically saying. So this person is in high level management in this national company, so they understand how this stuff works, and they were able to coach me through the process. Now imagine if and as a result of their coaching and me making certain moves and doing what they told me to do, we had a tremendous settlement with the insurance company. Matter of fact, we got more than they typically give in terms of percentage-wise. Okay? Now, imagine had I been sitting there thinking, since I'm the pastor, I'm the anointed one, I'm smarter than everybody. Yeah, I'm anointed. I'm anointed as the leader. I'm anointed to lead, but I ain't anointed the plumber. I don't know how to plumb. I ain't anointed as an electrician. I'm not anointed as a carpenter, and I wasn't anointed as an insurance adjuster. But this individual had training there, and so I relied on them. And they gave me all the perspective I needed. Changed my perspective. I thought the insurance company was going to write me a check. But they changed my perspective. And because I listened to them, it was a real blessing and benefit to us as a result. And guess what? I'm still the leader. And this person directed me and coached me along the way. They had my heart. They had my spirit. They never tried to make me look like I was dumb or like they never tried to take over it and get the credit. To this day, they don't even take credit for anything they did. They may be watching this podcast right now, okay? And they have never taken credit for any, and they helped me along the way immensely. And every issue we have with insurance now, I go to them and they help me through, okay? You want people around you who will give you perspective, and if they have talent or gifts in an area, allow them to use those gifts. It doesn't diminish you, okay? It doesn't diminish you. You're still a leader. Remember one time a preacher came out of church and preached, and he was real sharp. He would call kill the house. He tore the house down. People jumping and dancing, and having a great time. And one of my ministers asked me later, he said, Pastor, man, I watched this guy come in here, and I watched him preach, and everybody was shouting and dancing, and it was just great. And you say, he said, you don't get intimidated? That don't bother you that another guy come in your church and affect your congregation like that? I said, no, for two reasons. Number one, I want my people to get it. And although he said some things I've already said, if they get it from him, come trying to take a different voice, I'm okay with it. But I said, I'm never intimidated. I said, why? He said, why are you not intimidated? I said, here's why I'm not intimidated. Because at the end of the day, when he finished preaching, guess what? He got to give me the microphone back. When he finished hollering and screaming and y'all finished break dancing and jumping over everything, he got to hand the mic back to me. He cannot close out the service. He got to get a mic to me. I have the last word because I'm the leader. In the story. So I'm not intimidated. So I'm not intimidated by smart people around me that give me better perspective, because it doesn't mean that you're still the leader. And if you constantly stymieing and suppressing people who have gifts, guess what? God's going to start sending people with those gifts to you. Okay? Listen, man, my time is up. This is good. This is good. We'll have to pick up right here next week. We have to pick up here in the next podcast. I hope you're enjoying this. Don't forget to comment. Let me know how this bless you and where you're watching from and all those things, okay? Now listen, don't forget to visit my website, www.pronaldwilder.com. It's going to pop up on the screen for you right there, www.pronaldwilder.com. When you get to that website, you'll be able to pick up my book, The ABCs of Leadership. I hold in my hand. Principles for Personal Development. I go through the ABCs and I take words, start with different alphabets, and write about them from a leadership perspective. This book will bless you. A lot of people use it. It's very popular out there. Schools use it. Athletic teams use it. It's great. Leadership, ABCs of Leadership. Don't forget to go by my shop page on my website. When you get to the shop page, you'll see all of my leadership teachings. There's just a great array of leadership things, messages, the Maximus Principle, 7 series, when leaders fail to lead, in the pressure cooker. These are all great. I go into a lot of detail, so you want to get them. You can download them to your device and have me for a small price. But the best buy on the website is the jump drive I'm holding in my hands. It's the bundle package. Every leadership teaching you see on that website is on this jump drive. Just stick it in your device, and you'll have me, and you'll have it all the time, and you can listen to me and get those teachings. If you got the bundle drive, it'll be less than half of what you buy if you bought all those individually. This is your best buy. Now listen, gotta go, but don't forget, I want to appeal to you to be a supporter of BGTV Studios. Give to this ministry. This is a great platform and a great ministry. As you give, there are 3 ways to give. They're on the screen now. There's the website, there's Venmo, and there's Cash App. Give a good one-time gift, or become a monthly supporter. This is good ground. God will bless you. Now, we who podcast on here and ask you to support the BGT, we don't get nothing from it. So it's not like we're going to split it in half. We get nothing. As a matter of fact, me and my wife are big supporters of BGTV Studios. We give to BGTV Studios, okay? So I want to admonish you to do the same thing. It's a great platform, great seed. This is good ground to sow seed in. Listen, got to go. Hope you enjoyed being with me, but I enjoyed talking about leadership. Now listen, tune in next week as we continue. This is your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder, signing off with the 2 things I always tell you. Leaders lead, and leadership matters. God bless you. I'll see you on next Tuesday.